Second year here with the Tin Caps. Talk a little bit about what your experience with the Tin Caps has been like as the pitching coach, because born in 1950, you've got a ton of baseball experience, but you're trying to relay it to 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds. So what has that experience been like here in Fort Wayne?
Been a learning experience. This is the first time ever I've been at this level. I've been everywhere else. I've been big leagues, AAA, AA, short season A leagues. This is the first time I've ever been in A ball per se with these younger guys. But I'm having a ball. I helps keep me young. Last year we were fortunate enough to have some very good arms here. They're doing very well in Lake Elsinore now, and I think soon to be moved up to AA, which is good. This year, not quite as fortunate with the arms, but still has some guys that we think are going somewhere, and probably just need a little more work. And for them, it's a slow process. A lot of patience. And hopefully you need patience on both ends. They need patience, we need patience, and there's a big difference between a 19-year-old and a 23 and 24-year-old. That 4 or 5 years of experience is a lot, and not just in the baseball world, but in the growing up world, in the life world. So some guys mature professionally a little sooner than others. Some guys mature a little sooner in life than others do, but the key is do you eventually grow up? So that's where we're working and what we're working on.
In your career, 15 seasons in the majors, 151 wins. What's the one thing you try to impart, especially on this level, to a young guy that can help them out along the way to get to the level that you were at, where you have not just a few seasons in the majors, but a major league career?
Well, it's like any teenager or young kid, they've had everything done for them. They've been taken care of. They've been told they've got a whole bunch of talent. They've been told they can be really good. It's well and good to be told that, but then you got to go out and prove it. And I think the biggest thing that they need to learn is to do away with the radar gun and start learning how to focus and concentrate, self-discipline in their practice, in their games. Some of them are a long way away from that, some of them are a little bit closer, but that's a continuing process, a continuing learning process. But you never will learn it unless it's presented to you at first, so that's basically what I'm doing. And a lot of it's mental. These guys already know how to throw a baseball pretty much. It's about learning how to play the game, learning themselves, learning to do the things they do well and do that in the game, and staying away from the things they can't do well until they've mastered things. And the other thing is the patience and the determination and the self-control to stay with something for a length of time until you master it. Nowadays everybody wants a quick fix. If it doesn't work today, we'll try something else tomorrow. Whereas it may not work today, but if you work on it for a year or two, you may have something at the end of that 2 years. So, it's like they don't find vaccines in a day, they don't find cures in a day, they don't, but you stick with it, and it's a building process, and both mental and physical. So that's got to be introduced to all of them here.
You mentioned that, you've been in the majors, you've coached on different levels. How did you end up in Fort Wayne and in the Padres organization, and more specifically, working with the Tin Caps here on this level?
Well, over the years, once I, quit playing, I went to work for the Dodgers, to work for them for 9 years in their organization. Went to the University of Texas as their pitching coach for 3 years, and then was hired by the Astros. Was with the Astros for 13 years. They changed ownerships and pretty much changed the whole organization. So I was out looking for a job, and actually 2 weeks before Christmas, back in 2012, I was planning on retiring, and I'd already put out feelers and phone calls to other organizations. Just wasn't getting any feedback. And then about 2 weeks before Christmas, Padres called and said, this job was open, the job in Eugene was open, and I think the Arizona Fall League was open, and asked if I would be interested in any of them. So I don't make any decisions until I consult my wife, so I consulted my wife, and she said, whatever you want to do, keep going. So that's pretty much how I ended up here.
1971, Cubs take you with the second pick in the draft. You go straight to the majors. pitched 3 games that season for the Cubs. Then you come back, season's delayed 2 weeks in 1972. So the first game's April 15th. The second game was the 16th. Tell me about April 16th, 1972.
Well, of course, that's the day I threw my no-hitter, my 4th big league start. I was 22 years old, and I can't say I was real sharp. I don't think the hitters were real sharp at the time. After the 2-week layoff, we'd come out of spring training, went on strike for, I think it was a 13-day strike. I was a rookie kid. I didn't know anything about strikes back then. All I wanted to do was go play baseball, but ended up going home for 2 weeks to Austin for 2 weeks. Continued working out with the college team there, and then Fergie Jenkins started the game on the 15th, and then I started the game on the 16th. That's when I threw my no-hitter. So walked 7, struck out 7, gave up no hits. So
people talk about, when you hear pitchers, they say, "Oh, I was in the zone," or some pitchers will say, "I came out of bullpen. It was the worst bullpen I ever had, and then I threw a no-hitter." So there's obviously somewhere in between. Going into that game, did you feel like this could be a no-hitter? Did you feel like this could be a good game? Did you feel good?
In your 4th big league start, and you're trying to prove yourself still in the big leagues, you're not thinking about no-hitters. So you just want to go out and have a real good start, compete, win the game. Basically, it was no different than any other way I would prepare myself get ready for a game. Once you get to the 5th inning, you kind of notice they don't have any hits yet. That's about when you start taking notice, because that's over halfway through the game. So that's when it starts to stick in the back of your mind. But before, warming up, I don't think anybody thinks about no-hitters at a big league level.
When did you start thinking about no-hitter in that
about
game?
5th inning. 5th inning, I knew they didn't have any hits, and most major league games, it's pretty unusual to go 5 innings with no hits, much less 9 innings. So I think that's when everybody started picking up on it.
Did they talk to you in the dugout? Because everybody says, don't talk to a guy with a no-hitter.
No, I was only 22, and I was playing on a veteran team, and they didn't talk to me much anyway, so it wasn't anything different.
What was it like when that final out occurred? Because, like I said, you're 4 starts out of pitching in college baseball. You're throwing a no-hitter for the Chicago Cubs, one of the greatest franchises in all the sports.
Well, the baseball part of it wasn't, really. I never got excited about anything. That's just not my personality. But probably the most difficult thing was handling the media, because back then you weren't taught to do that. And I'm basically in a big media city with the newspapers, and they televise the games, and just kind of like all the interviews and everything. The onslaught of that I wasn't prepared for. I can't imagine what happened nowadays. Media is tons bigger now than it was back then, but just doing it in Chicago and doing it the way I did it, kind of woke the city up, I suppose.
Looking back on it, did you have a chance to savor the moment, or were you still in the mentality that I've still got to prove I'm a major leaguer?
Well, yeah, that was only the first game of the season. We got 6 months to go. It's kind of like, that's one game. And those are the things you learn. I see guys over the years, as a player and as a coach, that get satisfied with one game. Well, I came up, I went through college, freshman year, I'm an All-American in college, so I'm thinking, where do you go from here? Well, go do it again. It's kind of like it's not over. Don't get satisfied. You got to work harder so you can do it again. That was my mindset. I pitch a no-hitter, I win the game, but I got a whole season to pitch here, and I got another game I got to pitch in 5 or 6 days, so I got to get ready for that. Yeah, it was exciting. Yeah, it was a big deal, but 5 days later, I'm out there on the mound. I got to compete again.
75, middle of the season, Cubs trade you to the Dodgers, and then in 1981, you make the All-Star team, pitch in the All-Star game, and the postseason. You're fantastic. 4-1 up, the Dodgers win the World Series. Does that rival the no-hitter, or is that even a bigger deal for you in terms of...
Well, you play the game to win the World Series, not pitch no-hitters. No-hitters are just kind of the icing on the cake. But, when you play in a World Series, that's exciting, but until you win one, it's kind of like the Super Bowl. There's only one winner and everybody else loses. So... nobody remembers the second place team. So when you go to the World Series, ever since you're a kid, and once you get into Major League Baseball, the objective is to win a pennant, go play in the World Series, and win the World Series. So definitely winning the World Series a lot more, and really probably a lot harder because, like when the Cubs win it last, they've had a hard time.